I have a comment. I'm here to request or ask the village to consider imposing a moratorium.
That's not a part of this yet. Just let me get through the public comment as far as the village thing, and then the next issue will be the sand, and then we'll... Okay? If not, no public comments, then we'll move on to the glacier sand. Brian Iverson, would you come up here, please?
The guy with the white truck with the blue plates.
Thanks for coming, Brian. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about here a little bit, and one of them is I don't think our village is going to ask a whole lot of questions at this meeting right now, unless they so desire. That's their opportunity, but for us, it's a listening session, and then it got put into the paper, and then, of course, then with the different townships that are here, I think that being that these townships are here, that it's just as important that they have something to say too. The second thing is that later on in February, we're going to have a meeting here with the town of Lucas and the town of Stanton for another meeting, because it was discussed today at the county board about how some of this worked, and there was people opposed and that weren't opposed. I'm not opposed to it either, but just like I told the people at the county, there's some places that these things work better than they do others, and I just don't feel it in the Knapp Hills. But at this time, you want to go ahead, and I'll allow everybody about a couple of minutes. When you get up, I want you to tell us what your name is, so that the girls can write this down, and maybe a little bit try to make it brief into what you said. Okay.
Okay. So I'll try to give you an idea about what we're looking at doing in town. I know I can't tell you all of it because we don't have all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed. We have bought some property in town for a rail, and we have leased some property within the whatever the general proximity of Knapp is. We chose the hills that we did so far because we kind of wanted to be out of sight, out of mind. We didn't want to be right up in front, right on top of the hills where everybody could see driving up and down the highway. So we've been really picky as far as where we started out, and that's how we'd like to continue working. I'm pretty open, so I just rattle off all I know. In Trempealeau County, we started out there. We worked there for 6 months. We ended up putting a work hour in place where you can only work 60 hours a week. But you can't. What we were looking at doing there is running up to 24-inch in diameter slurry pipes up to 4 miles away, so we could get rid of all the trucks on the road. But when you do a slurry pipe, if you run your water and your sand through the whole entire thing, you can't start up in the morning and push your water through and shut it down at night. You can't get anything done. So it ended up being a 40-hour work week. But when you start building a plant that's $50 million and trying to run it in 40 hours, it doesn't work. So we left Trempealeau County and we started looking elsewhere. And then all of a sudden we ended up in town. And then some guy comes knocking up on my window of my truck and said, "I know you're a sand guy." I have a sand deposit in Dillon, Montana. Not all sand is created equal. In Dillon, Montana, my sand is 300 million years old, and it's an old sand dune. 10 miles away from me is a 30-foot chunk of petrified palm tree. And so it blew around forever and ever. And my sand out there is only what they call 100 mesh and a 40-70 mesh material, so it's only good for a dry gas play, which is all that Utah, Wyoming, Colorado, the western side of Montana and Idaho is. It's not a Williston Basin that we all hear about up in the Bakken, where it's super deep oil that they go after with the larger particles of sand, and that's what they want. They want those larger particles that you guys have right here. I see in the news today that Iran is going to play war games, and in the Gulf there, and when they start doing that, they're going to affect 16% of the oil consumption that's used in the worldwide. And if they shut that off and it becomes a worldwide issue, the demand for frac sand goes through the roof even more. And so even the phone call started today looking for more sand. And there's just not enough sand to go around. There's right now today, I know of over 1,000 wells sitting ready to be fracked and no sand and no water to put in them. And in North Dakota, if they could get a permit to take water out of Davis Lake, that's what they should do. And maybe that's what they'll end up doing in the future. I know one guy's pushing hard to do that. It takes a lot of water to frack a well. Some of the wells that they're doing in the Niagara region, in Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming, those wells are up to 30,000 feet long, 8,000 feet deep, 30,000 feet out, and they do 40 wells on one pad.
What are we doing in this area, though? That's really what we're interested in.
Right. Well, it's the demand for the sand is why we're here, and so the sand here, you know, if this is if we were to set up shop in our own backyard, how would we end up finding that? And we can actually, where we're looking at taking the sand right here is we're going to do our darndest to try to convey it all with conveyors and eliminate the majority of all the trucks on the road. And so there's a big benefit to everybody. And if we're able to do that, and I need some team players of some neighbors to pull that off, and I have to go meet with a few of them yet and finish some things up. So it's at the end of the day, there's for sure 100 jobs that'll come in right here. There'll be another 33 jobs that'll be taken typically in just other support from the businesses. They'll have to increase the size. The gas station in town, I kind of like my own table there at the moment. A lot of people are concerned. I see the silicosis is on the radar. I see a gentleman handed out a sheet right there. It's actually a pretty good checklist to go down. We don't fit any of those parameters that are on there. That's there's a lot of old school that's written there, not in the new style of how they do mining and stuff. Definitely not how we work. But the average paid job is in excess of $20 an hour with plus health care. So we'll provide health care for everybody. Okay, it's pretty much in a nutshell. So I know a lot of people got questions, so I'll just fire them off as fast as we can go. Yes, sir.
I'm Nathan Ducey from Knapp Township. Just wondering a little bit about the history of your company.
Glacier Sands, we formed, there's 3 of us in there, myself, and then Ike and Ryan Thomas. And each state will have its own company. Like a typical corporation, when you do a real estate development, every development has its own corporation. So we formed Glacier Sands here, I don't know, 4 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. But obviously I've been around in the real estate development business since '84. I've moved 6 to 10 million yards of dirt a year. I've built 60 miles of roads, 60 real estate developments. I've done a lot. No lawsuits, no complaints, no nothing. I've closed over 3,000 real estate transactions. No lawsuits there either. So we have 2 attorneys that represent the public. They actually send their clients to us now, and just because we're just straight up fair. It's you all got to get along. Contracts are only as good as the paper that they're written on, and we'll do our darndest to go through them all, but there is no fine print. They're just straight up good language. Mike and Ryan, they've been in business for an awful long time. They just sold out of their sand business called Vista Sands in Granbury, Texas, and they're looking to come up here also and bring their customer base along with mine up here and sell sand. So all the sand that we have contracted for is all sold. So that's job stability. It's extremely important if I were all of you. Yes, sir.
You act like you're processing all that. You realize that Dunn County is
consider a moratorium. It's on the agenda tonight, Lucas tonight.
Yep.
We're asking these people to think about a moratorium.
Yep.
You realize in order to even do anything, Lucas, you'd have to amend the comprehensive plan first before you can even apply for rerunning. You guys how kind of time this takes in?
It's all an uphill battle, but unless you start somewhere, it's just not going to happen.
We could go on. Right now, what is the extent of the area that you're looking at?
Wisconsin?
Yeah, I mean right in this area. You're looking at
The
a
people
mile around here, or 5 miles around, or 1,000 acres?
I don't know how to answer your question. You mean that we're going to bring sand in from?
No, that you're going to be working with, they're trying to get leasing now. Are you looking at a square mile here? You're looking at one farm? You're looking at, what are you looking at?
Well, there's some people that just met me out in the parking lot out there with their bag of sand, and I know that they're 10 miles away. But I don't know if we're going to bring that sand right here. So I'm not sure if I can specifically answer your question in a matter-of-fact way. I mean, for the most part, everything that we're going to, if you run a conveyor, obviously you run conveyors 4 miles away.
Okay, the question really is, you're looking at the Knapp Hills, someplace in the Knapp Hills. Knapp Hills have to be the remnants of the oldest mountain range in the United States. We got conservation people, we've got tourists, we got all kinds of things. Nobody's going to want any of the top of those hills disturbed. You say you've got leases signed, I can't believe anybody would sign those leases you're passing out. It's just ridiculous. You know, if the people here are willing, if there's some interest in doing a project here, it behooves these people to wait a while until if there's interest, if there'll be interest down the line, they can get together and get something out of it instead of hit the first guy that comes along.
Oh, I'm not the first guy to show along. There's other people that have been drilling here for sure 2 years. There's been people drilling here for 2 years.
Well, that's nice.
Within 1,000 feet of standing right here. So I know I'm not the first guy. Next.
Can you describe what the excavating site looks like? When you're taking the sand out, you know, it says mining, but...
Can you speak up a little bit?
Okay, can you describe, my name is Hannah, can you describe what a excavation or mining site looks like when you're taking the sand out?
In general, for the most part, I can. Every hill is different, or you all call them knobs. And it depends on where the sand is in them that you're able to go after. Not all the sand is what we're after. When you're above or below that dolomite level, there's tainted material on both sides of it that we're not after. We're after the coarsest material that's there. And there's anywhere from as little as 20 feet. Let's say, we're not going to go chase 20 feet, but we've seen deposits where the good coarse sand is 20 feet thick, and we've seen it 140 feet thick. But we've also seen it covered by 140 feet of dolomite, which you can't afford to take off. The dolomite level is the level that they end up drilling and blasting, and they do a 5x10 drill pad with a 5-inch hole and drill it and blast it, and they just tap it off. You know, it's not like you feel it. But anyway, you're after the least amount of work to go after that sand, and that's the bottom line. You know, there's profit in it, but you can't afford to take that dolomite down.
So if it's not dolomite, I mean, dolomite you're blasting and drilling through hard.
Some people do, right?
Okay, but if otherwise you're taking off topsoil, you're making a big pit. I just don't.
Well, the hills are. It's not a pit per se.
Okay.
I think Fairmont Minerals is a pit. You know, everyone's different. Okay, it's some are completely pits. You know, you look at a reclamation plan, you have to have a 3-to-1 slope to it when you're done, so it's got to be a farmable slope when you're all done. A lot of the hills aren't farmable because when you take, it already sits at this angle and you got to leave it at this, but the next hill stands up and down like this. You can't excavate this because what you leave is too steep. So it's to even set up a mining operation, you got to know what you're going to start with, and you got to know how you're going to finish it off at the end of the day. It's not an easy process to figure out. It's kind of complicated, and you got to look at it a big picture. You can't walk in and go do 40 acres. You're gonna look at a bigger picture. That you're probably gonna do 20 acres at a time, and strip the topsoil off. You know, I've done enough farming. I know how not to put a farm field back together. But what you end up having to do is take the top 12 inches, let's say, of topsoil, set that in one strip, Obviously, you're going to put seed down on top of that to make sure it doesn't blow away. And then take the next 4, 5, 6 feet of material and set that in another pile and do your vegetation sand control on top of that. And when you get done mining, you put your second layer, you put your bottom layer back on top, you fill nitrates and lime and whatever else that you want to put in the middle, and then you put your topsoil back on and run your deep bottom plow over the top of it and mix it up. And it takes about 2 years when you're all done to have it back to a farmable field. But some people, if you know farming, some of you have no topsoil. Some of you are lucky to have 2 inches. I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to do that. I got one guy down the road here. I don't know. We're going to dig a pond, I think, and in this low ground in order to come up with topsoil to put back on top, but because he just doesn't have anything. But I'm sorry I can't be more specific, but each one's different. But basically, you just take a round down, let's say, down to just flat, replant the trees around the edge, or however the owner wants their land reclaimed. It's up to them how they want to see it at the end of the day.
Are there any places around here where there is an operation?
That we've done?
Yeah.
I have mine in Montana, and Ike and Ryan have theirs in Texas. We have other plans around here that we're starting, but you got to remember that I come from a real estate development background. So if we're not increasing its value at the end of the day, it's kind of tough to just walk in and go mine something. You're just making a mess out of it. You got to put up a bond for a reclamation plan to cover it at the end of the day. So if we up and leave, there's still money there to put it back. So we have the landowner covered from start to finish. Next.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming there's going to be water used in this operation.
Yep.
I also work with, one, I take care of our city wells.
Yep.
2, I've worked in the private sector on wells for 20 years or thereabouts. I know for a fact that one of the people who you're talking to had their well sucked dry.
Yep.
The water table has dropped significantly.
The shallow well?
It don't
Right.
matter.
That one was a shallow well. And the guy told me that they had a shallow well that went dry and they had
If you know anything about wells, it doesn't matter how deep the well is, it's how fast the water flows into the borehole.
Mm-hmm.
So, having said that, probably in the last 3 years there's been 4 wells within a 2-mile radius that have sucked dry. So now once you start sucking off the aquifer, is that, me as I live about 5 miles away, but that would be, having worked in the water industry for quite a while, that would be something that would concern me, and anybody who lives in the country should be concerned about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. A phenomenal question. Not to pick on my friends in the mining business, but Fairmont Minerals down in their underground plants that they have down in Maiden City and Maiden Rock and Bay City, they increased their permit application from 1.2 million gallons a day to 2 million gallons a day. That's because they don't reclaim their water. They have no place to do it underground. So we're going to build 2 1-acre ponds covered. Obviously, I'm from Minnesota and Wisconsin. I know that things freeze up. So we'll do 2 1-acre ponds. We'll reclaim all the water. We lose 6% of the water. And so we'll end up using less water than these guys do, the farmers do that irrigate. So
Depends
6%
on what,
loss.
yeah, but it depends on what type of irrigation system you're using. Some
Right,
got 1,200
yeah.
gallons per minute.
Yeah.
Center pivot, some got 600. So
Yeah, about 10 acre feet to fill it. And then after that, it's the volume. See,
if I was a neighbor to that well, I would be quite concerned because I've like I said, I've seen it happen. So
well, obviously
that was
we're
my
not
only
taking
concern.
we're not taking the top aquifer water. These will be a deep well that will go down.
As well as irrigation wells are.
Yeah, they're same thing. Yeah, it'd be a deep well. Anybody who has a shallow well shouldn't be affected by anything we do at all. Otherwise, you're going to be affected by what everybody else does. In a typical real estate development, similar to a mining development, it's no net gain when it comes to discharge of water. So whatever water runs off the property that we'll be on and runs onto your property, that's all the more water we can have send in your direction. So otherwise, we'll maintain everything that we have. Pretty normal standards here in Wisconsin, typical to Minnesota. But the water, we have to use what's known as a flocculant. We'll use a E-friendly flocculant in order to take the fines out. See, we're only selling the coarse grain sands. There's no fine sands at all. I know I'll ask the council here if we can get a meeting, like a workshop meeting, set up. I'd rather have it for January, if we can. And I'd actually like to bring you some sand so that you can see what it all is and you can touch it. I'll bring you the 2040. I'll bring you the 30-50 grains and the 40-70. And they're all round particles. Crystalline silica are sharp shards. It's a 500 mesh size. I'll bring all the screens with so you can see what a screen and a sieving system looks like. I won't bring in a rotap that we use, but I'll bring in all of that stuff and I'll educate you how it's all done. And because it's really good information for everybody to see, and you'll see the particles that we're going to sell out of that. And I know for the sand that we're selling, you can't get in your nose. You have to physically push it there. So it's the dust that they're afraid of. Whoever handed out the brochure there, they got the crystalline silica rules there. When you drive down a gravel road and the kid's standing there, or the kid's riding his bike, and you blast past him and you get all that dust in his face, I guarantee you that's a minimum of 67% SiO2 crystalline silica. So that's probably one of the reasons why the DNR doesn't want to touch that issue, because every farm field is silica. Silica is the number one mineral in the world, and it's everywhere. We just happen to be mining it under a controlled environment. Even if we're able to do all the conveyors, they're all enclosed conveyors with air handling units on, so there's nothing coming out of the conveyor unit. It's required by MSHA, the Mining Safety Hazard Organization. So we have such strict rules to go by versus what they did in the past. And I know it says here that there's been all sorts of mining violations. Yeah, there have been. There have been mining violations everywhere. Good grief, we got them all over Montana there. It's ridiculous. But under the current rules of MSHA are extremely difficult to work with. And you have to actually set aside money to, you never know when they're coming, so you always got to be prepared. There is one mining company that does chase sand underground, and they did get shut down about 3 months ago because they're outside. The roofs are too wide, and so they're trying to get in there to re-support those roofs. But MSHA is a phenomenal organization, and we're governed by, they oversee everything that we do. And the DNR is there also. Okay, next. Yes, sir.
Got a couple quick questions. My name's Tom Hubbard, I'm from Chippewa Falls. How much waste are you going to have? I mean, how much of it is in that 20, 40, 30, 50, 40, 70 range, or the 100 mesh? But I mean, I know there's, every time you look at a flay or a deposit, you're looking to see how much of it is the recoverable stuff and how much is waste.
Yeah, everybody has a different standard of, okay, let's not call it waste.
Well,
not
in the industry,
to me, unsaleable to me.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of the hills here have a very low percentage of clay. So I'm talking, well, if you ran it through some of the stuff I've tested here, you can still see the bottom of the pan. There's like no clay, 1%. Some has 3, some has 5. I have a bag out in the car that's got to be 20% clay. So I need 2 washing circuits to clean that, but it's almost all 20/40. So it's worth it to go after and go do. So, I mean, normally I would just rattle off an answer, probably 30%.
Okay. What about, are you going to run year-round, or are you looking at doing seasonal plant?
No, year-round.
Year-round wash plant?
Yeah, we have to buy rail cars at $73,000 a piece and have 1,000 of them or 2,000 of them, and you're paying that bill. It's all year-round. We're not putting anybody on unemployment.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So how long do you stay around? I mean, forever, or?
Well, obviously what we're doing is a 40 and a 50-year play, having all the sand sold to the top service providers in the country. All those service providers have skin in the game. They're part of the program here, and we're in for the long haul. It's a long-term company. I don't want to hire somebody for a 5-year play or a 6-year play or 7-year play, and I just took them from another job that they've been at for 20 years. It's not a short-term operation. It's $50 million, and it takes a long time to pay that off.
Are you saying that you're figuring on being in after 40 or 50 years?
Well, every operation you have to plan on being a long-term. It's not short-term. Anybody who says, there are mining, I don't know where you're going or where your brain's going, but I can tell you that there are a lot of mining operations that are very short-term, that are going to send out sand raw or send out sand where they just wash it. Those are short-term plays. They might be 5 years. But the ones who actually dry their material at the end of the day, those are long-term plans.
No, that wasn't my quick, that's not my thought at all. My thought was, in 40 or 50 years, and you're working 7 days a week, and you're taking out how many ton a day? How many ton a day are you going to excavate out of here?
Not
Are
this.
you going to take 3,000, 4,000 ton a day out?
Let's see. Can we leave that for the January meeting so I can give you a little better idea?
Well, I just want these people that are here, some of these haven't been here before, and I just want them to get some kind of an idea as to how big a hole in the ground this is going to take in 40 or 50 years.
But we're not. Depends on how deep that is. That could be. It could be 200 acres of ground, 100 feet deep. It could be. It could be as little as that for that long of a time. You know, if somebody was to do 30,000 tons a month of sand, a lot of you people have 5-10 million tons of sand on your property. You know, so it's not like you look out there and that's all gone. That's not the case at all. These are. I can't let the cat out of the bag too fast here, because our business model is different than most people's, and I'd rather tell you that in January. In other words, we're not looking to take all the sand from one person, so only one person makes a gain at the end of the day. We're looking to share that amongst everyone. So.
How do you intend to mitigate the damage to adjacent properties, property value loss, air quality loss, all that sort of thing?
I'm not sure what there's going to be for air quality loss. I've read it. I don't know what that would be. I know the big, huge mining operations, the EOGs and the Badgers, they're massive and huge, and that's not what we have here. So I don't know what that would be. And so far, in the big business plan, there won't be anybody complaining.
Well, the only study I've seen...
You know, it's within our unit.
The only study I've seen, property values on adjacent property, that's within half mile, so we're at least 30% rather good. 3 miles away, they're talking about 10 or 5% loss in property values. Which means two things. One, it means that the jurisdictions are not getting their tax revenue because the values are going on. Secondly, people who got invested in their homes and stuff are losing all that money. Who's going to make that up for them? Especially if you got air, and you see
who's
no
going
air
to make
quality.
up the difference that we just brought 133 jobs, and every house in town just got bought, and they all went up in value. I'm not trying to be the devil's advocate here, and I'm a big picture thinker and looking at the outside of it, but I understand your point. Don't think I don't. But I know that there's some people who, for a fact, 100% would be affected from where we're going, and we've already had conversations with them, and we've got things pretty well worked out, so they're already taken care of. So far, I don't know of anybody. Who's going to be affected today.
Well, you got the outlines where the property is and where the project is.
I do, and we've already started those conversations right off the bat. So far, nobody is. So far, everybody's that we've left have smiled. That at least we're willing to deal with and face up. And it's not like we're a big, huge corporation. There's 3 of us. I'm right here.
That's on too. Is that if like, let's say, right now the EPA is looking into tracking. I'm Gene Ringer, by the way. And EPA is looking into tracking and investigating contaminations and other issues. that fracking has. So if there's additional regulations going, the amount of fracking that's going on may go down, so that the market for your materials may go down, which means that your profitability goes down, and then the small company, which is a temporary unit, disappears, as opposed to a large company that has lots of resources, is still around to do something else, clear up any issues that remain.
We own ours free and clear.
Pardon?
We'll own everything free and clear. We're able to be the most competitive of anybody that's out there. We have no overhead, just labor and royalties.
And they can be looked at both ways. The other is that, are you aware of any issues that Thomas has had in Texas with respect to companies he's operated and neighbors he's had to deal with?
Down there?
Yeah.
I mean, as far as where his mine was at?
In some of his businesses that he's operated.
Which one?
The water business?
Oh yeah, they sell water. They have about 1,000-acre real estate development. It's actually kind of smart, but they tipped all that water, all that stormwater to the middle in that whole entire development, and they sell water out of that stormwater. I know you can't do that here in Minnesota, Wisconsin, but they can in Texas.
Are you aware that the state cited them for lack of service to their customers and had the city buy the water service so that they could provide for their customers?
Yeah, they had. They're in a township. They're in a township that they are in a township that doesn't have city water, and they're looking at hooking up actually the whole entire development to city water. So, and they have one major client that's coming into that development that's buying 52 acres from them. But it's not a stormwater problem. It's it's their deep water well that they have, and they have one major usage, and the guy went overboard on this usage, and they didn't have a big enough well to put in, so they had to buy water. Bottom line. So it's not a. I got that. That's got nothing to do with this, but I know that one. Because they've also ran all those turf businesses in 14 states and 600 employees. Never had a problem there either. I think they have 9 businesses right now. So, but their water is it's black and white compared to what we have right here. It's not the same thing.
Well, it's just,
We all have issues in our past.
They're conducting business and that the neighbor that they're going to be in terms of how easy they're going to be to work with, because whenever you have a big operation like this, there's going to be issues, and you need to be able to work out those issues. And if parents in some of the activities that they've had in Texas, that they haven't been willing to talk with their neighbors and work out the issues.
Okay, I don't know about that, but I'll give you my phone number right now, so you can call me. Okay, you ready? 612-290-6199. 612-290-6199. And it's Brian Iverson. You can call me whenever you want. I just live next door. 612-290-6199. Next. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike Platt. How much bond do you have to post to reclaim all this land?
That might change. They looked at, when we talked to the one gal down there that's in charge of reclamation, they looked at changing that number. But they take the whole acreage that we put in our reclamation plan as a whole and calculate it out that way. And so that might be $1 million. It's not a real number. And it's a security.
How big an area, I mean, but just the main bond?
No, it's calculated by acreage.
It is?
Yeah, oh, yeah. They have a great formula. It works. The math works. I already calculated it out. And so the plant itself, wherever that wash plant is, we have to put up a bond to take that down. But in the lease agreement, the couple that we have, we've also said that if we next.
Actually, the lease is written the opposite way. The leasee will have the right but not the obligation to remove any improvements during the term that they have hereof.
I don't know what you're reading.
I'm reading the lease agreement that was dropped off at our place with respect to the wash facility.
Okay.
It states that not the leaseor, but the lessee that determines whether or not the building comes down.
Okay, the one that we're signing tomorrow is different than that one right there. So, and the wash plant lease is separate from the land lease now. So, the attorney that's been sending the business to us is Bruce Brobold out of Arcadia, and he has, I think, 11 of our clients right now. Yes, sir.
What kind of noise is your operation going to have? And also, you said you're going to invade it, so you can invade it over highway.
Well,
with the track.
yeah.
You lose the tracks or put it through the track.
At the end of the day, if everything goes right by our plan anyway, yes, we would go over 12 and then up and over the railroad tracks. Yeah. So,
Any noise level in your operation?
other than when that bearing goes out, you know it's gonna, we all know that. So it's a maintenance deal. It's a lot of conveyor. And that won't run 24 hours a day. The conveyor will not. That would be crazy. So that'll be a normal hour, Monday through Friday deal. We're gonna try to work everybody Monday through Friday, and a minimal crew on the weekends. I hate working on the weekends.
24 hours a day?
Some parts of it would run 24 hours on a minimal crew, but not all of it. Not filling railroad tires. Not in a wash plant. Once you start a wash plant, you pretty much got to keep it going. That's why we're sticking it right up where we're going. And it's out of sight, out of mind. You won't have to worry about hearing that. If you want to listen to a plant run, and not to give Fairmont Minerals any credit, but I will, because they are good people. I like them a lot. Their operation that sits north of Maiden Rock, Bay City, north of Bay City by 4 miles or so, and on the west side, go park outside their door and listen to what they have, and that's the same level of noise that we would have. They have they also do resin-coated sands there, so their operation there is huge. They make silica flowers. They make crystalline silica at that plant. That's because they make 200 to 325 mesh flour, just like flour you put in a cake. That's how fine it is, and you see it in the pile, but when it blows around, you can't see it. That's crystalline, actual crystalline, respirable silicosis producing material right there, not the 20, 40, 30, 50, and 40, 70. Those are big particles.
I've got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How many acres have you got signed up already for this map area?
That's confidential. I can't tell you that.
Well, I don't think you're really being fair with us then.
Why?
Because you're just moving in here and saying you're going to put this plant up, you're going to do this and this and this, and you're not really telling us exactly where you're going or anything else like that.
There'll be, well, in one unit, like in a unit as a whole, there could
Well,
be...
I'm just asking the question as to how many acres of the Knapp Hills are you guys going to contract?
What's the definition of map?
Well, we're in
Feeding this facility, feeding this facility will be about 1,000 in all, if we're talking just the facility. But, over here there's 300, and over there's 300, and,
there's 1,000
miles
where?
away, there's 300, and there's 200 over here, but there's only 40 or 60 acres of sand, so it's you can't, just because we lease somebody's 200 acres of property doesn't mean there's 200 acres of sand. There might be 40 acres of sand in one little hill that's a lot we're able to take down.
It doesn't sound to me like it's a little hill when you're telling me that you're going to be here 40 to 50 years.
Well, it's not like I got to lease all 40 to 50 years worth of sand. I'm not going to. That's to pay minimum royalties on thousands and thousands of acres of land isn't in anybody's business plan. So it's there's just, we lease somebody's farm, but there might be 40, 60 acres of sand there.
I know.
That's,
But I think it's fair to all these people to know exactly, or some real close to being a hard number as to exactly what your plans are. I know that Knapp has got certain things in place here,
yep.
and we've got another sand mine starting at the foot of the Wilson Hill here, and you just find out about these things because one of the things, was you at the board meeting today in Menominee?
I just got home now.
Okay. One of the things at the board meeting was that with these sand companies was that 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, when this sand thing started to come into an existence, the county board would get phone people calling from Philadelphia, all over the United States, wondering about sand and your area, and they also were concerned about who it was owned and who wasn't. You see where this is going?
Which is the question, Rocky. Everyone keeps saying that he's going to do this and this and this. Have you got some assurance that this would be approved?
No.
But I'm just saying, this is what happened today. Another concern that I've heard nobody address at all, and that's this. We're in the Knapp Hills. What are we going to do when we get a flood? All these hills are going to be all eroded. I haven't heard anybody say anything at all about putting waterways or anything like that at all. It's just come in and get your sand and we'll just cover the hole up and we're gone.
Well, you better take that.
And I think that's it wasn't brought up today either.
But you better take that guy's permit away, because that's not allowed. You can't, there's erosion control on every single one of these.
I understand some of the erosion control, but some of the times when we have floods like we had here a couple of years ago, there's going to be an issue.
Okay, but we got to be 300 feet from that. We have to be 300 feet from that waterway. You know, so there's nothing that's going to be done within that. If there's whatever the definition of that waterway is, I don't know what that is, but there has to be erosion control methods put into place as part of that reclamation plan, and that's very specific. It's just like a real estate development. It's very specific as what has to be there. You have to control your water. And like I said at the beginning, you don't have to be on the neighbors. That has to be in place.
I've heard I've been to several meetings, and I've never heard this issue really brought up until today.
It might not have come up for anybody because they might have not thought about it.
And another thing that I really feel upset about is the fact that I can't speak for all the board members, but I can speak for some of them. The first thing we really knew anything about this big bombshell was in the Dunn County News here last week. Well, I don't think that's being fair to the residents in the area. You know, I don't know how anybody else feels. Well, I think that when somebody gets ready to do something, they should at least be a good neighbor and knock on your door and say, you know, this is what we're thinking about.
Okay, well, guess what? I've had that backfire on me. If I have problems and I have to go talk about it, and I did not want to come here tonight. I told Ike and Ryan, I said, we got to talk to one person. And so I have to get to that one person and talk to them. So it's like a fine wine. You can't go too fast. I have to talk to one person. I have one issue I got to talk about with one person. And they're probably sitting in here and they know I got to talk to them. And I have to dot a couple of I's and cross a couple of T's. And then we're ready to go forward. So I come here to educate everybody and listen to what's coming. I mean, yes, we would like to go to work here. I know we have permits that we have to get. And that's uphill battle. I got that. But you got to start from somewhere. And for us, it's a great place. And at the end of the day, it's a massive benefit on the economic side. If you're looking at that as a positive, it's massive. The one company, Pro Card, they just pulled out up in Barron. They did a job fair. There were 900 applicants showed up one day. 900. So you know that there's demand and there's need. And we just happen to be selling sand, and the country needs your sand. Yes, sir.
Zach Jacobson, Lucas Township. I own and operate a sawmill, a lumber company in the area, and I am curious about the long-term timber values in the region and your effects on acquiring property and whatnot.
Okay, well, I can assure you that what we take out, we're going to replace. So you'll like our reclamation plan. Every single one of my real estate developments.
Very interesting.
There's like on all the lots of it, 4 trees on every lot. Miracle, 4 on every lot. Miracle growed them to death, and we hauled them in with tree spades, 90-inch spades.
I'm not interested in miracle growing trees.
I know, but I'm just telling you, I kept them alive. Yeah.
Very interesting.
That'd be normal. But yeah.
What do you do with your trees on a hill now? That's the top of the hill up.
Now they timber them off.
You do sell them to somebody else.
I've done, or been involved in developments where you just push them and pile them, but I think they're going to hire to see from the space shuttle, but not my deal.
Question here at the back.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Leanne Robinson, here in the One City Tribune. And you're talking about doing a conveyor system. Paramount Minerals, when they first came to Menominee, assured everyone that was part of the Board of Adjustment. Their condition was that they were going to do a conveyor. And then they found out that the conveyor would be, in the first place, they could not get the permits to go over Highway 1229. And then they decided it would be too expensive to go under the highway. But that was the premise, was that they would have the conveyor and then take that truck traffic, because that was a huge concern for everyone in the area, the additional truck traffic. So I'm just wondering what assurances you have that you will in fact be able to do the conveyor.
I don't have them yet. I have to go visit, obviously, I need these permits from right here, and I just simultaneously work with the state in order to get those. And I haven't worked in your state before. I know a few people there, so I know they're big picture thinkers, and if it is possible to do that, that they will work within that, and it's not a cheap endeavor. It's a lot of money to do covered conveyors. But if we can keep those trucks off the road, yes. Will all the sand come to this facility by conveyor? No. No, there's no way that somebody can come in and set up shop and take all the sand just from one hill. It's going to come in from different areas and different locations in order to spread out that sand usage. And we're not looking to do one big, huge, massive open pit mine.
I just thought that sounded reminiscent of Paramount Minerals, as saying they were going to do the conveyor to take the truck traffic, the roads.
I know that they had
issues.
issues. Yeah, they had issues that ended up being unsurmountable within their time frame. And so they had to go a different direction. Yeah, that one's a year out. So some of the sand, at the end of the day, might come from trucks until it gets done. Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
I'm Jennifer Sackery. You said that you will have enough jobs for 132 people, is that correct?
100 for us.
Okay.
Yep.
What is the average pay that in general that a person is getting?
Average pay, north of 20.
Okay. And then you would secure them with health care benefits also?
Yep.
And why is that a bad thing? I don't think it's bad. I think it's great that there can be a job for somebody in the time that we are in right now in our country. And why do people have a problem with it? Because they seem to have no problem logging the beautiful trees off our hills, but yet now you have issues with the sand.
It's new. You know, it's something that hasn't been here before. It's not like I'm a grain farmer, you know, where I'm taking corn out and doing beets and oats. But it's new, and there's a few people out there that like to pick on a few play words, and you know, I'm the proactive side. You know, if there's an issue, I'm going to be the first person to get out there and fix it right away, because I can't stand negativity. And but there's a massive upswing. Yeah. Hopefully at the end of the day, that's how we want people to work at the same time.
I just think it's an opportunity to have a job.
We have farmers who would love to stop farming and just come to work. And yes, sir.
is all the sand in the hills, or are we talking, is it in farmable land right now, or where is it?
Each farm's a little different.
Or more.
But for the most part, it's not in a tillable area right
So
now,
then
or it might be on the edge of it.
After you're done, would that become tillable acreage?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It would be.
Well, okay, let me fix that. It depends on what you want for your reclamation plan. Like,
Depends on what topsoil, too.
yeah, there's, yep, okay, you're right.
You guys can take that discussion somewhere else as far as dealing with. I want to get moving on because we got a board meeting to start here yet tonight, and I'd like to be done by at least 8 o'clock. So let's get the important questions asked if anybody's got any more important questions. If not, we will be setting up a meeting in February at some point for the village of Knapp and the town of Lucas and the town of Stanton to have a meeting and have a whole bunch of questions or what our feelings are, and we're going to go forward from there. I feel like, am I opposed to sand? I have no problem with sand. My problem is when I look out my window and my hills are gone, and I'm sure that everybody's living that for as long as I have, and there's some that live here a lot longer than I have. There's going to be some issues, and we do have some things in place for this already, and we won't discuss that at this time, but
You will not consider a moratorium at this time, then? No?
I don't think we really need a moratorium. I think in our best interest is that the county today put a moratorium on until July 31st. Am I correct on that? Somewhere in there. And at that time, maybe the village of Knapp will put another moratorium on after that.
But there is a question right now on what happens with that mile and a half extra territorial, who actually has the jurisdiction in there. I talked about the attorney and county planner today, and there still is. I would suggest you get your board, and you have to have a 3-member person from each Knapp and from Lucas, and from Stanton to set up a board and start looking at it.
That's exactly what where we're going to go with this. Yes, exactly. I can take a motion tonight just to protect ourselves. When we get back into our regular meeting, I'll ask for a motion to put this moratorium on at this point for the village of Knapp until we find out more information, because I just don't really feel that we got the necessary. We don't have everything we need to know yet. We have no idea.
But at the same time, other than some pretty general statements, we have no idea on what we're looking at doing either. And I know if there's another sand company.
Nobody has said anything to us at all, except I knew about the one at Wilson, and then I heard about this one in the paper, and I heard there's another one right over here on the other hills that's been tested already too. So over here, just north of Knapp, about 2 miles. So, but that's hearsay. But then again, everything to me has been hearsay up until I read it in the paper about these meetings and stuff, and so I think that. I don't know. I'm just as lost probably as everybody else is, because I think we've been blindsided. That's my thought. I don't mind working with somebody, but you got to let them in. If you let them in the pasture after the gate is closed, or just leave the door open. I don't know. So with that, if anybody else has got any questions, if you signed up there, and we're going to have this meeting coming up here in February, and with the different town people, and we'll try to get Lucas and the paperwork to these people by their next board meeting. I don't know when yours is.
It's Monday.
This coming Monday? That's for December. Okay. Yeah, right. To get you a copy of your January meeting that you can take so we can set our meeting so that you can tell your whole township about what's going on. And same way with the township.
Just a point of clarification, I don't think the county passed anything today. All they're doing is came up with a proposal that's going to go before.
The county board.
Yeah, to take to the county board. So nothing's been passed. You indicated that it had been passed, and I asked.
But I'll ask for a moratorium here tonight. from our board until we know more about what's going on. And I think Lucas is going to do the same thing tonight. So, with that, thank you very much for coming, sir. Thank you. And we're going to get on with our regular board meeting. If you got some questions about meetings and if somebody gets messed, you can call me at the end of January, and we should have some more information for you guys. And we'll just tell you when the meeting is so that, you know, sometimes when you just give it to the board members, everybody don't come, and maybe we'll even put something in the paper or something. Oh, I didn't say anything. You want a meeting?
In January.
When?
Yeah, whatever you want. That's when I wanted this meeting, was to have a joint meeting in January. What I call is a workshop, I'm not sure what you all call it, but where it was just this on the agenda. Because I would have all my eyes on here, so.
Yeah, we're going to have this will be a special meeting for us. So, but there was a lot of questions generated.
Well, this is all positive. This is, it's all great. Nothing negative.
We don't have to make any decisions in January about it. They have this workshop. No. So when do you want to do it?
Well, that's what I would ask.
Whenever you want.
Somebody got an idea?
Past the first week, so go to the second week or the third week.
So third week's that Thursday.
When is it?
Third Monday of the month.
Okay.
Is it possible to have a meeting with the vision of the center friendships?
Yeah, I want to have a part of that.
So we're talking January 16th? Yeah.
You gotta check with Lucas for our own meetings.
No,
we're
tonight.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Will that work for you?
That'll work for us. I can make that work.
So that would be, we have a meeting on
Monday the 16th. Well, you can't do that, that's third.
I know.
How about 23rd?
Oh, that, okay. Oh, I was.
Really?
23rd, that'd be relevant.